live my life the way I should. Tried to do things right and good, and
Kia ora everybody, no mai hoki mai. Hello everyone and welcome back. Joining me now is Brendan Horan. He is standing for the tauranga seat for New Zealand First this year in the elections. He's going to fill us in on what his policies are. Kia ora Brendan.
Oh, kia ora Kitty. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Now, straight into it. John Key has said that he wouldn't be willing to work with Winston Peters this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Why bother having an election? Let's just have who John Key wants to have govern New Zealand. Fortunately, the democratic process is completely is a polar opposite of what John Key wants. The reason why he doesn't want New Zealand First in is because New Zealand First is the only party that has steadfastly refused to sell our strategic assets, and we will not let them sell our energy companies. This government is borrowing $300 million a week. Okay, they want to sell our energy companies. That's our power stations, our dams. These are New Zealand assets. They are not theirs to sell. But here's the kicker: they want to sell it for only 7 months of their borrowings. You see, you get $300 million a week. $9 billion is chewing up within 7 months. So what do you do in the 8th month? What sensible business person anywhere in the world would sell their asset base for only 7 months of their borrowings?
So what would you do instead? What would New Zealand First do instead?
Well, we would invest in manufacturing in New Zealand, but we will not sell our asset base, because if we do that, and this is virtually the last of it, how do you get a pension? How do all the young people in New Zealand get pensions when they turn 65? Because there'll be nothing there. And I challenge you to find anybody in New Zealand who thinks it was a good idea for the government to sell telecom, for the government to sell New Zealand Rail, for the government to sell New Zealand Print. It just goes on and on and on.
Elaborate into what New Zealand First would do to fix it. What would they do instead?
Instead of
selling off all of the country's assets to try and bump up the economy.
Well, it's pointless to sell the assets. Like I said, if this government gets away with selling our energy companies, there's nothing left. Okay? And what do we do in the 8th month when they're borrowing $300 million a week? We would be tenants in our own country, and New Zealand First won't allow that to happen. Now, we have a plan for our economy. We have a very sound economic plan, and it's long range, short term and mid term. I challenge you to tell me what National's plan is. What is this current government's economic plan? Where is the blueprint for New Zealanders to pay for the horrendous prices of food that are just going up, petrol prices that have gone through the roof, and power prices? And guess what's going to happen if they sell our power companies? They're going to go up too. But where is the blueprint for New Zealanders to survive these harsh economic times? And we've got these Sheriff of Nottingham type budgets, and this that takes from hard-working New Zealanders and gives to a very select band. Take for instance the CEO of Westpac. In the last budget cuts, he got $5,600 more in the hand a week. Somebody on the minimum wage got 25 cents an hour, which equates to $10 a week. So how do you survive? New Zealand First is about people, and for New Zealand to go forward, we have to go forward as one nation together. But we can't have one band of people in New Zealand benefiting, and that being the super rich, while the rest of us are here struggling to make ends meet.
Okay, so if you're going to make the changes that you're talking about, you need to get into government. Why aren't you standing for the Māori seats?
Because we don't believe in race-based politics. What happened when MMP came in, the Royal Commission said that we shouldn't need Māori seats because we should have Māori representation throughout the other parties. Well, New Zealand First has more Māori MPs than any other party, including, well, I should say now New Zealand First has more Māori candidates than any other party, including the Māori Party. And race-based politics is a recipe for disaster. You know, did you know that in the recent Botany by-election, they had a new citizen party? Do you know where that party was formed?
No.
Beijing. They came third in the Botany by-election. So here now we have a Māori party, now we have a Chinese party. Are we going to have a Korean party? You know, it's a slippery slope to nowhere, and violence. And this government's whipped up a recipe for discord for years to come.
So how is New Zealand First looking towards the election this year? Do you think you're looking positive? Are you going to get some seats in there?
We're looking very good. Because, you know, you ask me questions, I'll give you the answers. You know, I challenge you to ask those politicians, and they just ramble on and on. You know, if you watch Parliament TV, and all you get to see are national politicians standing up trying to score points, Labour politicians doing the same, and the rest of them, rather than resolving conflict and issues and moving New Zealand forward. And that type of anachronistic behaviour is well past its use-by date. And New Zealand First politicians will go in and do what's right for New Zealand.
Wonderful.
And fix up our economy.
Well, sounds good. You sound very determined, Brendan. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to see how you
Can I just say one thing?
Go for it.
The New Zealand First record and mantra is quite clear. We look after people. We put New Zealand first. And on November 26th, I trust we'll all do the same.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Brendan Horan, for coming in. And we look forward to seeing how you do this year. Ka pai, kia ora.
I live my life the way I should. Tried to do things right and good, and I spent my time with friends and family